Hey guys.
Hey. How are you people?
I hope you guys are good.
Hey Kyle, good to see you.
What's going on, peeps?
Up and her.
Jeez. My God.
You're losing a bit of your head, babe.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want to shift over a little bit?
Okay.
Thank you. You know, the things we do before we... there.
Yeah.
And
Hey
that
guys,
one's
how's
good.
it going? We're just making sure that you can see us.
Hey Facebook, YouTube.
That
We've missed you guys. We've
Yes,
missed
we
you guys.
have
It's been a little
indeed.
while since we went live on YouTube, just because we've always had technical difficulties.
Yes. The
So
last few days have not been nice to us, or the couple of weeks basically when we've been trying to go live to Facebook and YouTube, and for some reason it's just not been coming together. But it seems like it's been resolved.
Indeed.
And we're back. For those of you who missed it, you can go and catch it. It is uploaded on YouTube. We had a fantastic conversation with Monique. With Monica, sorry, we were speaking about life after divorce and dating after divorce. It was just it was just powerful.
Very.
She
Very,
has
very.
an amazing testimony and just such a wonderful vibrance about her.
100%.
Just her transparency and love. It was just amazing.
No, so
Hey
good.
guys, hey Natasha.
Hey guys, how's it going?
We're waving back, guys.
What's going on? What's going on?
So
Cool.
today I think it's going to be quite laid back. We're stepping away from some of the conversations that we were having before about divorce,
Yes. 100.
and we are looking more at
Coming back to talking and speaking and teaching on a few things.
And one of the things that we wanted to do, rather than assume that everyone knows love languages and so on and so on, let's just start at the basics. Let's just start at the very beginning.
Sorry guys, just readjusting a few things. It's been a little while.
How are you?
It's been a little while.
Yeah, so we wanted to just make sure that we were just going through some of the basics of it and not assuming anything. So
Yeah,
before
100.
I jump ahead of ourselves, let's start. You start.
Yeah. Welcome everybody. For those of you that don't know, my name is Auric.
And I'm Siobhan.
And this is Two Love Collective. And our ethos at Two Love Collective is believing in love again. Because we believe that regardless of where you are in your relationship, whether good or bad, there is always space for us to believe in love again and take that relationship, wherever its situation is, to that next level.
Yeah.
So we have come out of a 10-11 week series.
Who knew that it would go on so long? It's good.
On divorce is not an option.
Yeah.
Where we did all manner of things, talked about all manner of things. And like Siobhan said, you can catch the rebroadcast on our YouTube and Facebook channels. But yeah, we've had a lot of fun.
Yes.
Closing off last year, entering this year.
Yeah.
And now we're in February and we're calling it the Love Month.
The love month.
Where everybody's focusing on Valentine's Day. And we're hoping some of the stuff that we've shared is
Will
preparing
support,
you for the Valentine's season. Whether you're single, married,
whatever
or
it is.
other.
Entangled.
Indeed.
Situationships.
Indeed. So yeah, guys, so the new kind of topic segment that we're going to be talking about this month is the 5 languages of love.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about it from different perspectives. Not just marriage, but also as a single person, also as a sibling, a parent, a child,
everything.
and obviously Gary Champman is the author of the book, which is here, The 5 Languages of Love.
Ooh.
So if you want to get that, definitely go to Amazon or something. I'm pretty sure that it's there. And we're not even going to try to attempt to cover everything because this book is just so weighty.
Yeah.
But we are going to share just a few little things over the
Snippets.
next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Just to kind of help in your love journey.
Yeah. And I think, like, as we were preparing for this today, we were kind of saying, okay, so before we jump into something, for someone who's never heard about the love languages, for them it's kind of like, what are you guys talking about?
Yep.
What is it? So I guess the basics of it is how we communicate our love to others.
Yeah,
and
100%.
how we want to have love communicated to us. And I think the primary focus is, do I speak Japanese when you're speaking German? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, communication is key in a relationship, and anytime we fail to actually grasp what someone's saying without them having to say it, because that's the thing about people. Yeah. Although we're saying one thing out of our mouth, our eyes, our body language, the tone in which we say it, is communicating something completely different. So we're continuously having to revisit how we are communicating, and that now comes out in the different ways that we express that love.
Definitely. So for those of you that don't know, so the 5 languages of love are quality time, words of affirmation, gift giving,
yes,
acts of service, and physical touch.
Yes.
Quality time, words of affirmation, gift giving, acts of service, and physical touch. Now, one of the things that Gary Champman really talks about quite heavily is about almost seeing yourself as a vehicle and making sure that your love tank, so to speak, is either full or empty.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, a lot of the reason why we react or we kind of do particular things or say particular things is very much down to the fact that the love tank, i.e. how you are receiving love, is very low. Yeah. And obviously he gives 2 perspectives in terms of how you receive love and also how you give love. And so we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that today, because just because you may give love in a particular way may not necessarily mean that that's how you expect to receive love. And sometimes, especially when you're, whichever relationship, again, husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, you may think that, okay, cool, I love to give. Do you know what I mean? I like to give gifts, or I'm just a giving person. And so sometimes maybe the person might feel like, that means I need to give back to you. Do you know what I mean? They buy you like an expensive photo shoot or an expensive bag or shoes, and you feel, oh no, I need to get you a bag. Or I need to get you something. Do you understand what I'm saying? That kind of equates to what you've given me.
Thanks, Gail.
And sometimes a lot of people, they miss each other, particularly couples, because they're almost playing competition on the same level. And then resentment begins to come in, because it's kind of like, well, I'm giving not to receive.
Absolutely.
But so that you can give me something else.
Yeah.
But in order to get there, communication.
Exactly. And I think that sometimes people are afraid to communicate and let their guard down, and also sometimes it's a bit of pride. And I say that it's a bit of pride because what happens is you assume that this person should know you. You assume that this person should understand that deep down inside this is how you want your love to be communicated. And so automatically you kind of get into this, hasn't he noticed I've been saying this? And hasn't he noticed I've been saying this or doing this or talking about these things? Why hasn't he put it together that I want quality time or I want a hug? And actually, the person is walking around saying, la 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 la. Like, totally oblivious to what is being expected. And I think expectation plays a big part in how we now show our love to one another, how 100%. We now receive the love that they're showing us. So a prime example, when I am expecting something from Ulrich but I don't communicate it, and then I get upset with him for not meeting my expectation, it usually will end up boiling up to the surface, and then he'll be like, but you didn't communicate
I'm
that.
not a mind reader.
I'm not in your head. How would I know that? But in my head, I've been dropping all these signs about, well, I talked about this and I talked about this, or we talked about this and I mentioned this, so surely it would mean.
And I think that's really powerful, and I'm taking note from it myself. like, no, seriously, like, why is it that we find it so difficult to ask for what we want? Like, especially like within marriage and all of that kind of stuff. Like, because I feel like sometimes it's really difficult.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's this kind of mist of, oh, can I really ask for that? Is that bad? And maybe it's because like we've, you know, like as Christians, obviously our whole kind of standpoint is that we're, you know, not supposed to sleep with each other or have any kind of physical kind of connection like that before we get married. So there's this kind of abstaining that may take place.
Yeah.
And, you know, for some people, obviously, you know, making mistakes and all that kind of stuff. But then it's like when you're now allowed to, it's like when you've been told you can't do, and then now you can, it's almost like there's like almost like a shift that needs to kind of take place.
Yeah, it's true.
Because I put my hands up. That was definitely me.
It's a hesitation. It's
Definitely
a hesitation
me.
to be that real. It's a hesitation to be that open.
That open
honest.
and exposed, 100%.
But you know, okay, so I totally agree with you, and I think it comes down to, okay, so let's say your love language, whatever your love language is, whether it's gifts, acts of service, you name it, you kind of don't want to ask for that thing. As strange as it is, you want the person to figure it out.
Exactly.
It's kind of like your birthday's coming up, you're expecting a gift, but you don't want to say,
this is what I want
for my birthday. Which is really, really strange.
It's mad, isn't it?
And then on top of that, you don't get what you wanted, and you're disappointed because you're expecting that the person should have known what you wanted.
It's true.
And I say it all because it happens in our marriage, where you don't want to ask for it because then you feel like, but does it mean as much?
Yeah, it's true.
But then when a person doesn't meet the expectation,
you're kind of like,
deep down you're upset that they haven't met you where you're at. Okay, so I'll tell you guys something what's going on with us. So Valentine's is coming up.
Well.
And 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think so.
2 weeks ago, I said to Ulrich, this Valentine's, I know what I want. I'm gonna tell you from early. I've been thinking about it.
This was good. This was before New Year, right?
No, it's after. Just at the beginning of the New Year.
Okay, cool.
I say to Ulrich, okay, I know what I want. We'd been speaking with a friend and she was telling us about this can I share it? This company, and they do some luxury things. And as a result, I was like, I never knew this even existed. And so I said to my beautiful husband, I know what I would like for Valentine's Day. I'd like one of these luxury things. And it's 10 years in. We are 10 years in marriage. And this is the very first time I think I've ever said to Ulrich, this is what I'd like. And I think it comes down to growth, and it's fear that I don't want to come across like
pushy or arrogant.
A prideful, and you don't want to demand something, but you do want to have someone give.
Yeah, because they've thought about it.
Exactly.
But it's crazy because it kind of brings up another issue, which is because I think in some ways we've kind of done that in a sense, because most, like, you know, because and it also depends on like the seasons in your life that you've gone through as well.
Yeah. Because
I'm telling you, boy, there were seasons where, you know, money wasn't an issue.
Yeah. So
before children, it was like, yay. And then you know, you go through some wilderness seasons where it's just like, yo, there's no. I remember I vividly remember one year I didn't have money, not even to get a card. That's how tight things were. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? And it burnt me because I was just like, I don't really want to ever be in this position again. Do you know what I'm saying?
See, now that for me isn't the problem, because I don't care if you can't get a card. And that's where it comes down to different things.
That's true.
I feel like, okay, cool, so you can't get me a card, write me a letter, do me a post-it note, a post-it note, every single bedroom in the house, give me a door that says I love you because, you know, like something like that. Make me a CD or a playlist of, go somewhere else. Like, it doesn't have to be financial, but I think it comes down
we've
to
had to learn that.
Exactly the experiences that you go through and how you say, okay, cool, let's turn the other cheek, let's find some like a new way of going through this. But I guess we say all of it to say, with your love languages, these matters are so close to the heart that if you are a person who wants to give as a love language, so give gifts and things like that, when you now can't do that, it now affects how you feel about yourself in that marriage or in that relationship.
Absolutely.
So now here you are trying to show love, but it's hindered by insecurity, it's hindered by low self-esteem, external things, and it's like my love gift is getting muddied with bad waters.
No, it's true.
And then
then it stifles creativity.
Come on. 100%. So now where you
That's me. I lift my hand all the way.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, when you would have been creative with something, you find yourself struggling to even be creative because
it's just work.
You're going down.
It's true.
And then what happens is the person who's supposed to be receiving this act of love
doesn't get anything at all.
They get it, but they get less. The love gift is now, it's like, okay, let's say you've got £10 to spend on this person, but because of the deficit of how you're feeling, you actually haven't got £10, you've got £7. And then by the time you get to give the person the gift, because it took you a bit of money to even get down to the person, they only get £5.
Right.
So it just brings it down. Hey. So I think, like, with our love languages and with our expressions of love, we literally, like, we have to check our motives, our love tank. There are so many moving parts to how are we giving, how are we receiving, how are we processing the expectations that come with that, because 99% of the time it's unsaid.
It's true, and I think even with guys to kind of go there. Do you know what I mean? I think it's because we're very kind of functional individuals where it's like we have to, especially when we're focusing on particular things, it's kind of like I just need what I need to get through. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so sometimes the niceties, the romance, all of that kind of stuff is just long. Do you know what I mean? I just need what I need to just get to the next level, and I don't really want to have to think about things. But I think this is where it comes back down to communication. Do you get what I'm saying? And just communicating where you're at. And I think that's just going to be at the foundation. Hey man, how you doing?
See, I love it. Rev Peterson.
Rev, yeah?
Straight in.
Are you just trying to bun up the place, bro?
But you know, like, I think, okay, so Rev has come in straight away and he's just said, listen, my love language is physical touch, and I think the fact that Rev has been able to identify it is fantastic. And if you're struggling to identify what your love language is, because there's primary love languages and then there's secondary love languages.
That's right.
And the book is fantastic because it helps you do a quiz, and basically in the quiz is washing the dishes. Hey Karen, if you're struggling to find out what your love language is, get the book, read the book, and also take the quiz at the end, because it will help you to identify it. And a lot of the times what I would say is some of the things that you find the most challenging, as in the thing that gripes you about what you didn't like, how you didn't like something done, is generally a part of how
you want
to be loved. and what you want to experience.
Your love language comes out of a deficit that you probably once had in your life.
Exactly.
So, for example, if you didn't have, maybe your parents around, or, they didn't encourage you, or they didn't tell you how good you were.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You may grow up with a deficit of words of affirmation because you never heard it, and so that now becomes your primary.
Yes.
Because that was the thing you needed, just to inspire you, just to take you to that next level, just to not feel as insecure as you feel. Do you know what I mean? Because you feel it, and sometimes you hate it because it's just like, I don't like feeling this.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like sometimes you have to be careful, because then sometimes it may slip into blame. Ooh. If only I had an if. Yeah. And this is where God is so amazing, because he becomes everything. He fills every gap.
Yeah.
He pours himself into us. If we would allow ourselves to just grasp his living water, like he's ready to fill that area.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Because I think that the issue about love languages is such a powerful thing.
Yeah.
And it's something that we had to understand, especially before we got married, because it's all part of your wholeness journey.
Yeah.
It's all part of you knowing who you are, because those love languages, when you begin to kind of delve into them a little bit deeper, you have to begin to understand that these things, you need to be whole in yourself.
Yes.
Do you understand? So even, excuse me, so even if it is words of affirmation that you need and you've desired from when you were young, you need to encourage yourself.
Come on, please. Let me just jump in on this, because you're preaching.
I'm getting ready.
Okay, so imagine whatever your love language is.
Come on.
I believe the Lord will orchestrate it that it is withheld. Ooh. So that you find your completion in him.
Mad.
So if your love language is touch, you gotta hold it down before you get married. You gotta learn how to say, I know that I am burning inside to touch a certain place on that person's body, but I need to exercise discipline.
Constraint.
I need to exercise constraint.
100%. That's so good.
One of the things now, Ulrich and I...
You're feeling it now.
One of the things that Ulrich and I refused to do when we were dating is we refused to speak to each other's egos, but also we refused to say, hey baby, hey darling, hey sweetie, hey honey pie, wifey, all of these things. We couldn't speak
not happening
those things before we got married, because we were just like, you know what?
Those are triggers.
Those are triggers to do something else. And when we now, certain people's love language will be established by those kind of words. So when you start speaking to those things, certain things light up in the person, and they now want to express that love.
Yeah, because love expresses itself. Come on.
So I'm taking it off.
You want to keep it on.
But you get the point. So if your love language is giving gifts, the Lord may take you through a season of financial. So now you can't function the way you want to, but he's asking you need to get whole in me, be creative. If your love language is acts of service.
You need to learn how to receive.
If your love language is acts of service, you need to now have some. It's almost like God would make you sick, so that you can't do for yourself. You know, like you got a broken toe or something, and you can't get up and run around how you would. Now you have to sit and wait on someone to do these things for you.
Mad.
Because it teaches you a humility, it teaches you a grounding. And what it does is it has God at the center, so that you now have to say, Daddy, I rely on you,
Exactly.
Daddy,
God has to become the source of your love language. Essentially, God has to become the source of your love language, whatever that might be, primary or secondary. God has to become the source of your love language. Because trust me, guys, because we said to each other that we were gonna try not to like expose what our love languages was, because obviously it's online, you know what I mean, and anybody could be watching, you know what I'm saying.
But
No, but seriously, because it was so part of our wholeness journey. Because for me, I needed to make sure that I was secure in myself.
Absolutely.
Even though I have, because words of affirmation is my thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? And there were certain times I had to get to a point where I was okay in my own skin.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And there were certain times where, Siobhan would say, like back in the day when we got married, she was like, oh, you look good. You look good. I'm like, yeah, I know this. Because certain times, because you have to get to a point, even with your spouse, where they don't become your source. Because if they become your source, then there's a problem.
There's a problem.
Because now it's almost what I preach at a Life City Church. You become, you need them.
Yeah.
And the only person we need is God.
It's God. That's the only one we should be pining after.
Yeah.
God. And let me just say something, because I have to.
Yes, you can have more than one.
You
of
can
course.
have.
That's what we're saying about primary and secondary. So you will always have two main ones.
Yeah.
And then the other three will kind of come after that, depending.
Yeah.
Like for me, before we got married, acts of service was all the way down. Because we weren't living together. It wasn't an essential part of my my love tank, so to speak.
Yeah.
But when we got married, things started to shift a little bit. It came a little bit higher up the fivefold list. So.
But here's the thing. I must say, I have to be completely honest with you. My dad.
Yeah.
One of his primary, it got to be one of his primary love languages is acts of service, categorically.
Same as mine.
And 100. So with my dad, most people are hybrid.
Most people are 100%.
So because I've grown up having my dad do lots of things for me, as in just a loving gesture.
Yeah. She don't pine for it.
Exactly.
She don't need it because that tank has been filled.
It's been full up to the overflow, and then come again. So I don't have that. That there's not that need. But then certain things that you experience in childhood now would allow you to feel like, but I do have a need here.
Yeah.
I do have a need here. So prime example. Yeah, and your love languages can change over time.
Absolutely.
Because you have, in different environments, there are different things that you need.
100. And you mature differently as well. Because you get to a point where, I don't actually need that anymore. Do you know what I mean? I'm actually alright.
Alright.
Like even for me now, like I feel like quality time.
Yeah, we're home together.
Listen.
You're in the yard.
Quality time.
Quality time is
coming up high. It's like there's like 5 chickens just trying to have a race, and it's just like, and it's just like, sorry, continue though.
So prime example, I went to a predominantly Caucasian.
Rev said my primary is a physical touch, my secondary is physical touch. You're not right, bro.
But here's the joke. When you know what you know,
exactly, of course.
That is it.
Fully.
But then and here's how it goes a little deeper with you, Pastor Reverend David, is that your primary is receiving physical touch, but now is it giving physical touch?
That's good.
Because you give in one way.
Yeah. And you receive in another way. So
it can be like, for me, I know I love giving the physical touch or the words of affirmation, but then it may be that I like to receive the gifts. Do you get what I'm saying? And that kind of creeps up higher than where it would have done before. But honestly, I think you have to look at your giving and your receiving, and then speak to your partner, your spouse, so on and so on, because this love language area is a big deal. And I say it's a big deal because you have to be ready for your person to tell you if you're not meeting their need.
Quish. And that's a hard conversation to have,
Because the book talks about, is your love tank full? Is your love tank empty?
Mate.
Is the person meeting your need? Is the person helping you to receive the, okay, cool. So Reverend David, he said that his love language is physical touch. And I'm not saying your wife doesn't receive in the right way and so on. I'm not saying you don't love your wife the right way or anything like that. But if he's like, right, cool, I'm going to give physical touch, and his wife is like, mate, physical touch is not really it for me. What it is words of affirmation.
Because sometimes you can give what you want to receive.
Exactly. You give because you're like, man, I love it when I get a nice warm hug just when I'm doing nothing and my wife just comes up and gives me a hug. So I'm going to just go up and give her a hug.
Yeah. And you don't want to. You don't want to give it. But you give it because you want. That's what you want in response.
In response.
And I used to do the same thing. When we first got married, I used to clean up the yard. Top to bottom. And I didn't actually know that that's actually what I expected Siobhan to do. And I was just like, and I used to get vexed. I was just like, why am I the one cleaning up?
And I used to be like...
And I do it just because that's just me anyway. Do you understand?
I was like, and you do it because you like it, no?
No.
Because...
It's like washing dishes. One time you were like, yeah, do you like doing it? I'm like, no. I do it because I don't want to eat dishes.
No. There were times where we would have a fallout and we would go and do the dishes. And then
there
would be times
it's therapeutic, man.
Like, but that's what I'm saying. So
when
it would be like,
there's
there's a connection here that you have with this cleaning thing that I don't.
No, but it's a state of mind. If anybody like identifies with this, please raise your hands so that I'm not by myself. But like, I have to have a clean room. I have to have a clean space, office, desk, so that I can think creatively. Because obviously I'm creative, so I have to have... the environment has got to be conducive for creativity. And if it's clutter, it's very difficult. And Siobhan sees me certain time, like when we're in our busy seasons, do you know what I mean? And the house is just a madness. And I'm just like, every day I'm just like, woo-sa, woo-sa.
He's on edge, and I'm like, okay, look, everything stops, and then, everything pauses,
and then one night, and then one night, it just got too much, and I said, Siobhan, give me 2 hours, please. And she's like, no, we need to go to bed. I was like, we need to clean up this house because I can't take it no more. And back in the day, my fuse was way short. I didn't have that patience. I really didn't. But
I'm going to be honest with you. This is where we're very different. For me, I'm like, okay, what's the goal that we need to achieve? I can pause, hang, balance.
Oh, I can do all of those things.
To get these things done because I need to get.
But when we get those goals, then
everything has to get tightened up.
Right.
Yeah. It's not like let's live in the pigsty. No, not at all. However, I'm like. The way that we feel about it,
it's very different. Yeah,
very
Siobhan's very orderly and priority. She's like,
yeah.
What is the priority right now?
Urgent
is it this or
important.
this?
Absolutely.
And for me, I'm just like, I have the same thing, but my thermometer is a little bit different.
Yeah. We have a temperature gauge.
Different temperature gauges. Yeah, I like that.
And I think that's what it's like with your love tank as well. Because when your love tank is on low, some people say, oh, listen, I think over the 10 years that we've been married, my love tank has developed a new level of reserves.
Jeez.
That I never knew about.
She just dropped it.
But I'm telling you what, that's what marriage does.
Mad.
Marriage.
You know when your petrol is low, and it says you've got 6 miles left. And for those of you that don't have cars that do that, it's just on the red. And you're just like, Spirit of the living God, I need you right now. Because I've got a 10-mile journey. And I'm sure that I've only got 3 miles in this tank. But Lord, we speak to thee. We start laying hands on the car and just say, God,
I speak to that mountain.
Take me to the next petrol station. All right, Lord.
But honestly, there is a maturity that you need to be able to develop
100%.
that you can get from one place to another.
Yeah.
Even if you're on low or empty.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that you can only give when your love tank is high.
Ooh, so good.
Prime example, as a parent.
Oh, you went there.
When you first become a parent and your child is screaming that they want milk and you are exhausted, you are giving from a low tank.
No, it's true.
Your body, your emotion, you're physically feeling like I can't give, but they are expectant that there needs to be a give.
Yeah.
You know, like if you, and I don't pray this on anybody, but if you go through a situation where your spouse is going through a depression or a grief, or they've had to bear a real challenge, they've been made redundant, they've lost something, you know, this season is difficult. If you're in this season and you're going through something like this, the other person can't now be saying, well, you didn't do the dishes for me like you said you were going to do, and you didn't buy me that box of chocolates like you know that I like.
Wow.
No, I need to carry you in this season, even if you say thank you or don't say thank you. Even if you acknowledge my being here or don't even acknowledge the fact that I've cooked, cleaned, slaved, gone up the road, bought the shopping, filled the cupboard, made sure you had no lack. Whether you acknowledged it or not, I still need to be able to give it. Not because I'm full, my tank is not full. But can I do it when my tank is on empty and still give? And it comes back down to why you do it, why you love them, why you...
And that's what love is. That's at the core, man. Because even if we think about Christ, he's on the cross, bleeding, dying, but he still gave it up, man.
Still saying you'll be with me in paradise.
Do you understand? Still said, forgive them. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. It's powerful. Absolutely. Though. It's powerful, and I think it's just a reminder for all of us to just kind of keep that communication and not allow yourself to become complacent, because it's very easy. Do you know what I mean? Like even Siobhan and I, we have our conversations where she shares about, you know, how she's feeling, and likewise myself. And it's crazy because, again, I don't know if it's a guy thing. Obviously, men them help me out in it, but sometimes for me personally, it's easy for me to just say, yeah, I'm cool. Like, yeah, I'm okay, and you know, I don't, my love tank is okay. You know what I mean? It's all right.
I hate that. No,
and it's not good, and it's not good. It's not good because I think it's like what Siobhan said. It's like you almost getting used to a level of reserve.
Yeah.
And when you're in that reserve for too long, it becomes your norm, and then it becomes dangerous.
Yeah.
Because then you're in reserve, you don't realize you're in reserve. But then what it begins to affect is your ability to give.
Yes.
Because you're at a place of empty beyond reproach. And so if you're in reserve, that means you have nothing to give.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
It's like it doesn't mean that you can't still operate, but you can't stay there.
Exactly.
You may be functioning there, but it's not a place of habitation.
Dwelling.
You can't dwell there for a long period of time.
It's true.
And we're not trying to suggest that in any way, shape or form, but I do believe that a working marriage is mature enough to say, how am I doing? And actually waiting to hear the answer. As difficult as that may be. But having someone say, I'm not doing okay here, and I need more from you in this area. So if that means you need physical touch more, you want intimate bedroom activities more frequently, actually being able to say that to your spouse. Bedroom activity being more exhilarating or whatever it is. If it's not being met, if your needs are not being met and you're not being satisfied in that area, actually being able to say to your spouse, I'm actually not as satisfied as I could be in this area, and I would like us to explore X, Y, and Z, and then waiting for that person to hear what you've said, but not expecting them to just...
Yeah, that's true. And likewise... Patient. And likewise with the other languages as well. Do you get what I'm saying? Because if it is quality time, then let that be quality time. Yeah. Because, you know, sometimes the whole intimacy is like overrated. Yeah. Because it's, you know, it always has to be sex. But actually, no, sometimes it is just quality time. Every time we hug each other, it doesn't have to end in... Yes. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And obviously for the single people as well, because that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about this month as well, is how love language relates with those who are single. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I saw these love languages when I was single as a guide to kind of find my own self-worth and my own ability to function without needing someone. Do you understand? Because if you need a spouse, if you need a woman, or you need a man,
there's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a problem.
And that's why I said God has to be the source
of
your love languages.
Yeah.
Because once he feels you, then that pressure is now no longer on your spouse or whoever it is that you end up with, or your mum or your dad. Do you understand? Because I think as children as well, that is such a big issue. Do you know what I mean? The relationship with your parents. Because essentially that's your first connection. That's your first relationship. Do you understand? And when there's a deficit there, most of the time, 99% of the time, it will affect how you function as an adult.
Yeah, categorically. And you can't you can't get away from that.
No, you can't. But you have to understand it.
Yes, it's not for it to be resented or for it to be blame-worthy, but just for it to be like, okay, cool, this is now because, and as a result, I need to do X, Y, and Z to counter it. But and we're going to start wrapping up. But one of the things that we just want to really communicate is love languages serve a purpose. And ultimately, they help us to be better communicators.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we've always said about love is that you have to have a maturity. There has to be a place in your heart and in your decision making that you are going to stick it out no matter how hard it gets, no matter how difficult things feel like they are. If you're putting the work in, you're either going to sit down and see counselling or be accountable to pastors or mentors or so on and so on, and then you're going to work on the things that you could do in yourself if the person's not there, if there are issues and things like that. But the majority of all of that boils down to maturity.
Definitely. 100%. I just kind of feel to say something to someone, and kind of felt it when I started to talk about parents. And some of you have got like unforgiveness for parents. I don't know which one it is, your mum or your dad. And I just feel like if they are still around, try to not see the deficit that you have felt growing up as you not getting what you needed alone. Because the thing is, we can live as children not getting something and blame our parents because they didn't give it to us, and that's the reason why we are the way that we are, or the way that we feel. But try to think about their love language. Because that's what I had to do, like with my dad, like, because there was loads of issues there, and one day I hope I'll be able to share it. But I actually had to flip the script. I literally had to start thinking about what's his love language.
It's good.
Like, I know what his giving love language is, but what is actually his receiving love language?
Ooh.
And that was deep.
Powerful. So powerful.
And when you can sit and I think ever since kind of God asked me that question about my dad, like every man that I come in contact with, that's almost what I look for. Do you understand? What makes them feel, yo, yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So it's amazing.
Because we miss that. We miss that in our relationships. We just, sometimes a lot of relationships are just surface. Ooh. Do you understand? They're just for most of the time it's what you can get. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But start thinking about the relationships that you have, particularly your parents, and think about what is their receiving. I think that's the one, you know. Yeah. There's a giving love language and there's a receiving love language. So knowing what your receiving love language is and knowing what your giving love language is. But think about that in the perspective, or from the perspective of your parents. And let that kind of change your thinking. And as we're in the love month, show some love.
Yeah.
Show some love. Show some love. Guys, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
It's been exciting. We're really excited about this topic.
Yeah.
It's challenging us, definitely, because there's going to be a conversation after this tonight. But yeah, man.
It's gotta be had.
Definitely. But thank you guys so much for connecting with us tonight.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you guys. And next installment next week Tuesday 9 p.m. Invite someone.
Bye guys.
Take care.
See you.
Peace
Bless
out.
you guys. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.